Hey, it's Renita, producer of That's a Doobie podcast. Now, before we jump into today's episode, make sure you have a notepad and a pen ready to take notes because we'll be session with Biotechnologist Minyona Mason of Two Leaf Research and Consulting. Our co-host Keyston, aka Stone, is joining Omari and Minyona to discuss cannabis testing, the true meaning of potency, and differentiating cannabis strands. All right, did you get your pen and paper? Don't forget about your libation. All right, you got everything? Now let's Doobie. Let's kick this off, Minyona. Here we go.
All right, dude.
Okay.
All right.
Well, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Minyona Mason and I am the founder and CEO of Two Leaf Research and Consulting. We have creative business strategies and resources to help companies thrive in 2020. We do research management so that you don't have to. We solve your complex problems through our automated platform and scientific expertise. We provide consulting services and have an integrated CRM sales, marketing, platform system to help our clients grow their business even more efficiently. We are currently located in Tacoma, Washington, and our customers right now are small and medium-sized businesses with small management teams who are looking for strategies to pivot due to COVID in order to sell more products and expand their brand. For the cannabis industry, we are focusing on social equity applicants. Our goal is to assist those applicants in navigation through the cannabis industry. There is a lot with the processes. There's a lot with application and just understanding the language and what's going on. And so we want to be that advocate for you. We are looking to participate at each step. As new states come online, it's important that we are participating together and really working together to enter the industry. So that's one of our big goals because we truly believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion on all levels, no matter the industry. And we are also currently planning to have our own cannabis, hemp, testing, and research facility in the Chicagoland area. So look out for that coming to your city soon.
Hey, again, thank you so much for coming on to the Doobie Room on our podcast. That's the Doobie podcast. We have me, Omari Garrett, Keyston Franklin has joined us as well.
How you doing? How you doing, Omari and Minyona? How you doing? Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too.
And thank you. And like I said, I was excited to see what you do and the topics that we're going to talk about today, because it not only will help us as an aspiring company getting into the industry, but also others that listen to our podcast and want to be social equity applicants as well. So jumping right into it, what exactly is cannabis testing?
So cannabis testing is testing for any contaminant, so that's heavy metals, pesticide, microbial, residual solvents, and then quantifying different levels of terpenes and cannabinoid profiles. So that's pretty much what cannabis testing is making sure that the retail products are safe and that we have a quantifiable, experts actually looking at the science, looking at the data so that those products are safe to use and safe for consumers. So that's pretty much what cannabis testing is.
So with cannabis testing, you look online, Google, and you put up cannabis testing, and you see people that are going in to just smoke the product to test it in that way. So
Right, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, that's real sophisticated. I was like, can't I just, test? I like this.
Right. So like specifically, what is it that we should know about the testing process?
Oh, about the testing process. So what we do is that when different clients, so whether you're a grower, producer, processor, you will bring your product to us. And what we do is we pretty much scientifically break it down. So we actually extract the cannabinoids and then we put them in a machine and it spits out a chromatogram. And then we have to scientifically read it to know what molecules you have. So with most products, anything sold in retail has to have a C of A, which is a certificate of analysis. And so this analysis tells you what percentages of terpenes you have in that product, what percentage of the cannabinoid profile you have, what you actually have. Do you have CBD? Do you have CBGA? Do you have THC? What are those levels and quantify them? It's also very important for the hemp industry too, because you have to, that threshold we have of 0.3% of THC. So there has to be a quantifiable way. And so that's what we do.
Anything follow up, Keyston? Feel free to jump in, man.
Yeah. No, a lot of questions. But the first thing, I always look at the business side, and what's first thing when I think it's a business. Like, well, why do we need testing? And I understand we got to prove to the state, we're within certain standards, and then they're gonna tax us if we got too much THC. Or y'all having too much fun. We need to get some of that green fun. I understand that. But, how do we, as a business, how do we monetize these testing results? We get that COA, and I think it might be helpful for a lot of social equity applicants or even just hemp businesses. They're like,
Mhm.
okay, do it just because the state says I have to do it. But when I look at business, there's always a reason and in a way that you can improve your business or even engage your market or your target market by every single step and process. So if you could talk about how ways folks can engage their market with these, testing results, where you say certificate of analysis, COA, I'd love to know that, because I'm gonna take some notes and we're gonna get on it.
Well, the C of A does provide a lot of different information. So let's just take one type of product. Let's say you are an infuser or you're creating a topical. You want to make sure that every batch that you have is homogenized. That means that everyone's getting the same level of terpenes, they're getting the same level of cannabinoids in your product. And so knowing ahead of time in the development stage kind of tells you where you are. Do you need to homogenize? Do you need to add a different substance? Do you need to work with a different oil so that you have an even distribution of cannabinoids to terpenes in your products? And so really on the product development side, as a business coming in, it really gives you the scientific evidence of why your product is good and is it not. And so there's still more research to be had. We know we have a lot of products that are out there, like even sodas. We actually have to break down the emulsions to see how many cannabinoids are quantified, the percentages of what that is. And so it's really, really important for product development and then also safety. You need to know if pesticides are being in your final product. So what people don't know is that so flour is one thing, but as you start to get more into like distillate and concentrates, pesticides may not show up on your flour, but it could show up in your concentrate because it's a more, concentrated product. And so you need to know that. We've had different producer processors who are growers making different things, and so their flour would test fine, but then their concentrate would be hot. And so knowing that ahead of time helps you, again, to have a more better, safer product. Same thing with microbes. Powdery mildew is actually, a bacteria microbe that really affects the cannabis plant. So knowing if you have that, we at the lab had developed a powdery mildew test when I was at Medicine Creek Analytics to help grows be able to, determine if they had that in their grow. And then even sometimes with pesticide testing too, if you are not using pesticides and you're like, how I'm getting pesticides, there's other things in the environment that also affect that. So knowing that our old lab, when I was at Medicine Creek Analytics, we helped different growers kind of figure that out. Our science director really worked with them to really understand, okay, where is your grow located? Is this coming from? And what they found is that a lot of the pesticides were actually coming from street cleaners and street, them spraying the street for weeds and stuff like that. That's where the pesticide was coming from. And so it also helps to be an advocate for yourself if you ever get into those legal situations, because we did, have that, and we were able to be an advocate and saying, okay, no, this is what it really is. So it is very, very important throughout the whole process as you begin to develop your product, create new products, and want to have a good product out there, and then a safe product too.
Okay. So, all right. So I my major in college was in biology science. So, I love the science behind, everything that you broke down as far as testing goes. But your average cannabis user is going to look at the product for potency, or, how high it gets you. Is that like the right term to use? Is everything that you talked about leads up to potency, or is that something different?
It is definitely something different. So let's just break down these definitions real quick. So potency really means something specific in pharmaceuticals. So how much an active ingredient is acting on your body and how your body is taking that up. It is very hard to determine this for cannabis. There are more accurate terms, so total cannabinoid profile, which is what you heard me use a lot, cannabinoid profile or percentage of cannabinoids. That is the more correct term because we are still researching the effects of the cannabinoids on the human body. We do have an endocannabinoid system. Last year, I was at the Cannabis Science Conference, and I learned that CBD alone can interact on at least 60 different biological and medical pathways at one time.
What? Say it again. Say that.
I had to write that down in my notes. I was like, I'll make sure I tell the people, right? But at least CBD, at least 60 different biological and metabolic pathways at one time. So it's very difficult to quantify what the actual potency is. And so when people are looking for products, you really need to look at the terpene profiles. That is way more important than, the levels of, THC. And just to be honest, to let people know, if you see a product with a super high THC, it's probably not correct.
Uh-oh.
The plant can only produce so much. And
you
so
know
that's
what
another thing. Yeah, go ahead, Keyston.
I just heard we doing it wrong. You just know the secret. You're gonna have a lot of businesses after you because you just said it's the high potency because that's what they charge you. Because the more THC, they hit you with the more money, then they hit you with the more taxes. But you're like, wait, no, we should be looking at the terpenes. What?
Yeah, terpene profiles is what really differentiates whether this blue magic from this grower is different from this other blue magic from this grower. It really, terpene profiles. Also at the lab here in Washington, Medicine Creek, we were part of the Evergreen Cup, and I was project managing that whole project. And one of the contests were it was a clone master contest, so looking at different terpene profiles, and whoever had the best grow, they had a clone, they cloned Purple Punch, and it was 5 different grows, 5 different either indoor or outdoor, and they all had different terpene profiles. All had different. So there's more to the plant, as you are giving it nutrient levels have effect on what your plant is going to produce in the end. And so, yeah.
That was great information right off the top. Like I'm going to go to dispensaries with a different mind frame because you instantly will go for the highest THC. But there's also something that I see on the package. You got THC and THCA. Like, what's the difference between the two, if there is one?
Yeah, so the difference between THCA and THC is that THCA is the acidic form. So that means that it has a carboxylic group on the molecule, and that is the non-psychoactive molecule. And it also has other medicinal purposes. THC is when that carboxylic acid has been removed. And so that is the active form and the psychoactive form of THC. So that's where the psycho, going to your high another realm, that is where it comes from, the THC, but not the THCA. So if you have a higher percentage of THCA, it's not going to necessarily have that high, quote unquote, effect.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's like driving with no seatbelt versus driving with a seatbelt and 2 hands on the steering wheel. How you want to get.
Yep. And another thing some people don't know is that cannabinoids all start from the same molecule, which is CBGA. And then over the plant life cycle, they create the acidic forms. When you add heat or combustion, that's when you get the active form. So when people doing their home ec at home, they're like, man, I didn't really feel it this time. Did you activate the THC first? Did you activate the weed first?
And that comes from heat.
Comes from heat, combustion reaction.
So they just eat it.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Thanks for tuning in so far to this episode of That's a Doobie podcast. If you want to be featured on a future episode, go on over to our Instagram page at The Doobie Room and shoot us a DM. We'll get back to you. Or you can send us an email to info@doobieroom.com.
But that brought up a question, Omari. Minyona, when you said the flower can come up testing one way, and then the same concentrate will come tested differently for the pesticides, is it if you eating it, the flower or whatever, or smoking it, is it harmful if it has that same level, or if it's made the same, and then you sell as a flower and it's used as a flower? Is it harmful?
So you kind of want to know, if it's flower, concentrate, if you get a high pesticide or a hit testing in the concentrate, like where is the safety levels at? Is that what you're asking?
Right. So the flower is grown in the same environment, and then that same flower is used for a concentrate, but you're saying the flower can test, low on the pesticides, and the concentrate can test high. Is that flower harmful? It's the same environment.
Well, not technically, because when you are creating a concentrate, and you are concentrating the molecules, things that didn't show up necessarily on the flower is not necessarily there, if that makes sense. So it's not saying that the pesticides were never there and they just appeared. Is that the safety levels of them on the flower were okay, and the safety levels on them in the concentrate are not okay, because now you have concentrated down all of those excess molecules. There's some more heat that goes on with that. There's some other things that are mixed in with that. And so when you get that concentrate and you test it, and if it, hits for pesticide, then it's like, okay, that's not a safe level. So that's kind of, I hope that clarifies that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So the flower is still okay. And so one of the things we have to remember is that, versus smoking, concentrate, distillate, however you choose to consume, we're still looking at research on how the body is doing that. When you're smoking, 100% of the cannabinoids are not necessarily inhaled or consumed or converted. So again, like I said, there's a lot of research in the area of the cannabis industry that is missing. And so we are our company, when we open up our lab, is trying to help fill that gap, because there's so much. And the scientists are currently into it. They're working hard to, find these answers for people. But that's what I can.
Okay. All right. So this next question. So we got the THC, which is the psychoactive part. All right, I'm learning, right? You got the terpenes that you said has, and one of our last guests, he also highlighted how important terpenes are to the quality of the product that you get. All right, but your average smoker may not. They'll look at THC, but they're all a lot of times about the strands. I got OG Kush, I got, White Widow, I got, Gorilla Glue, I have, is there enough of a difference in the strands to make people feel certain type of ways, or is that just more so a facade in a sense?
Well, so when you think about cannabis strands, it's a really good analogy is people are different. We're all different, right? We have all different aspects of ourselves. The cannabis plant is the same thing. And so different molecule profiles interact with people's endocannabinoid system differently. So that also provides, different effects as well. So if you get an OG Kush from Washington and then get an OG Kush from Oregon, you probably going to feel a little different. It may not give you the same high, quote unquote. It may put you to sleep, but again, those terpene levels really do create the flavor, it creates the smell, it creates how your body uptakes it as well. So those are really important. And that's one of the identifiers, differences between the different strands.
So is there a certain terpene levels that you would suggest people to look for? Like if you are a casual smoker or user, whatever way that you use it, if you're more casual, if daily, or, multiple times on a daily basis, is there like a safe or a terpene level that each type of person should look for, or it doesn't matter on that much?
Well, what I can say is this for terpene levels. If you are an everyday smoker, I would pay attention to the terpene profiles if they are given for the products that you are buying, and then do a comparison. We have the saying that says go slow, and go slowly, with your experimentation as you are trying different products. I'm more of an edible person, so I pay attention to, what is the percentage between like CBD or THC, milligram wise, for the different chocolates that I try. There was one event that we had here in Washington with Lemon Haze, and they had a really, really good chocolate fondue fountain. And the chocolate was so good, it didn't have that bitter THC flavor because I don't like the bitterness. So I pay attention to, the different levels and, the taste and the feel for flavor for me. So it really depends on you personally. Whatever high or feel you're trying to go to sleep, the blue dream or whatever, you're getting, you want to pay attention to those levels on the packages when they're given.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I had a CBD the other day and a terpene, and I didn't know. So this is new to me. I was even talking about the last, Doobie podcast and the terpene levels. And this is, I don't know, maybe I'm just new, but the terpene thing seems to be like a hidden secret. It's a gem. So my thoughts is like, are folks really cultivating, or how are they doing this terpene? Because that's a side business in itself. And when I'm looking at folks who are cultivating, getting retail licenses, is it still part of the cannabis plant? Like, can you explain that? Or is it something that can be, derived or cultivated or experimented with outside of cannabis? That's one thing I'm not sure. Is the terpene part of the cannabis or part of the hemp, or is it some other derivative, or how is that?
No,
Great question.
that is a good question. Cannabis plants do create terpenes. They are mainly located in the trichomes of the plant. Sorry,
Them
little
little
plant
hairs,
bio
right?
here. Mm-hmm,
Those
yeah.
little hairs. Okay, I did learn that before.
Little spiders, like little spiders.
Yeah, little trichomes, right? So, doing terpenes and learning more about them, like I said, growth nutrients has an effect on how your plant grows, the growing practices that you practice, whether indoor or outdoor, the amount of light that it's getting, the humidity, all of that affects how the plant grows. Just like, what environment we live in, our parents, their income affects how we grow up. It's the same thing for the plant. And so over time and with testing, we can actually test for, what levels of the different terpenes you have. So like I said before, with the contest, they gave everyone the same genetics, the same clones, right? But at the end of the day, they all had different levels of different terpene profiles. So to say that it is also a side business too, because some people just focus on selling different synthetic terpenes. So like with the vape crisis out here, one of the things where they didn't know what was happening and all that kind of stuff. So at some point you had to have a certain type of, I won't say a certain type of terpene, but you could only be plant-based terpene that you can have in your concentrated product, or things like that.
Okay. I love that analogy that you made with growing up in certain household, your environment, and that adding to the levels or the profile of the plant. Yeah, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
All right. Just kind of a side question, just like you're so knowledgeable in this field and the science of it. What was it that kind of intrigued you to go into this direction?
Well, I really like that cannabis has so many different healing properties. It has so many different things they can do for the human body. And I was really, really interested, medical research on the medical side. But then also, too, how can we make products better? How can they be safer? And so me as a scientist, I always love to discover. I always love to do experiments and really learning about something. So that's really what drew me to the cannabis industry. Like, this is like a kind of like, I won't say a black hole, but like a black hole of opportunity, and especially for scientists of color. Being a Black scientist, it has been very difficult for me to get, scientific opportunities working as a scientist. And so this was probably my first time, like job-wise, that I had an opportunity to really learn so much. When I was at Medicine Creek Analytics, I assisted with cannabinoid profiles, doing sample prep, mycotoxin testing, heavy metal testing. I would help open up the cartridges and, help the analysts get as much as we can, because we can use only, so little amounts that we do in sample prep. And so I really got a chance to really participate in that way. And I got to be a scientist again. And so I really, really love that. The opportunity is here to do so much, but then also to like really discover and really understand our bodies, because big pharma, it is what it is. But at the same time, we have to have holistic healthcare, and we have to have holistic health. And so the plant, I always felt like things need to be natural. Medicine needs to be natural. And so cannabis is a natural plant. It's here. God gave it to us. And so we need to optimize and figure out how to use it the right way and the best way. So that's what I'm trying to do here.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm excited to come on. I'll come on, keep coming on. I know we had a whole bunch more questions, because it's just so much science, so much that we're trying to do with the industry. And like I said, for social equity applicants, it is very important that you know the lingo and you really understand, have a good baseline of the industry. Because if you don't, it's very easy to fall into these contracts where people are, giving you 51%, but you have no control. But you don't know enough of the language or be able to communicate so that you can also have some operational control. And so, my goal is to help educate as many as possible so that you have a more fighting chance and don't have to, lose and then trying to make up. Why can't we all start together? So
it is. We have there's an online master's program, Masters in Cannabis in Illinois, and I'm so close to. I was thinking about it, but I haven't jumped in yet.
Don't think about it. Be about it. Go get it.
No, right? I know. I'm ready to jump into it. I'm just trying to find the right time.
Yep, just got to be teachable and willing to discover. That's it.
Man, I'm going to jump ahead of you, Omari, because last time you guys were talking about Florida. So she said the West Coast a couple of times. It sounds like the West Coast is almost the best coast. I said almost, because we got the Gulf Coast down here in Florida. That's one of the best. I had to get it in for all my Florida favorites. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that. We do need more education opportunities in the cannabis, and any information you have, let us know. We'll put it out for the Doobie crew, everybody, and our listeners.
Yeah, because
we'll do.
We got we had 6 more questions we supposed to went over today. But I know we got sidetracked, but I know me and Keyston both got interested in more of that science part of it, and everything that you brought up, I had more questions in my head, like, man, I want to ask this. I know we got to move forward, but it was a great conversation and great learning from you today, and I'm like so interested in that next conversation. We got to jump on that soon.
Yes, we do. Like I said, I'm here. I love to talk about the cannabis industry. It really has changed my life for the positive. Just being able to have the opportunity to learn. And there's just so many areas of the industry that need good scientists. It's like, OMG, what do I do next? And so, I'm excited.
All right. Hey, thank you again. We'll be setting up soon. Get you back on That's a Doobie podcast.
All right, cool. Well, if other people, have questions or things, they can always find me at 2weekresearch.com and just put in the contact us, That's the Doobie as a subject, and then whatever your questions are. So our website is up. Got to mention that earlier today in the intro, but yeah, you can reach out to us there or on LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Omari, that's a doobie.
That's a doobie.
That's the do. Make you do what it do, baby.